Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from Aktau in Kazakhstan. We thought we'd do just to update everybody on how we got here. Um, Starting with when we went to Georgia, and we got the bikes to a shipping company, and in a town called
Manueli.
Manueli,
Manueli.
Manueli.
Yeah.
And we went and met the guy there, and they brought us to the notary's office. And the notary is to sign over, give the power of attorney basically to the driver of the truck. So he has power of attorney over your bike. Basically, you're signed away ownership of your bike, basically.
So yeah, the way it actually worked out was that we didn't know the name of the driver. We didn't meet him, as far as we know, but we're not sure. We had the name of 3 different people. So basically, if something went pear-shaped, we didn't really know who had our bikes.
No, we didn't. And Damien had a tracker on the bike, and he kept checking it every 5 minutes, every day.
Well, yeah. Long story was it took 5 days, and I was tracking it all the time. But for some reason, it showed that it hadn't moved at all. So I suppose we probably better tell the story about what did happen with the bikes.
Yeah. So the notary cost us €50 each for because there's a solicitor there, and the solicitor draws up the papers, and then they give it then to the registered notary, and so that was €50 each.
And that was done in 3 languages. So it was done in English, it was done in Azerbaijan, and it was also done in Georgian, so that if it was stopped anywhere, everyone could read. We got a copy ourselves as well, and the driver then took, or the person who we dealt with, took them from us with the key and the registration document. That was the other thing.
So, it then cost us €175 each
Yeah.
to get the bikes shipped.
Actually shipped, which is about 600 kilometers. So
it's a good
look
journey.
at that.
Yeah, it's a good journey.
It's not particularly bad.
Yeah. So once we did that, then we left the bikes with them, and we just took hand luggage with us, and we went to a hotel in the town. They brought us to a hotel, and we had to pay for that ourselves. But I mean, it was very cheap. I can't remember what it was, but hotels are generally very cheap over there. And then we got a taxi the next morning into Tbilisi, which was it was nearly an hour's drive, and it was only €14 for the two of us to go that journey. It was incredible. We had a hotel booked in Tbilisi, which we then stayed in, and then after that, then Damien was looking up the price of flights then from Tbilisi into Baku, and they were huge money, weren't they?
Yeah. So the standard price, if you're booking, weeks or months ahead for that particular journey, is €153. It doesn't change. That's the basic price. But as you get closer, like everything, it jumps up. So we had to leave. We could not book flights until we knew that our bikes were on the way.
Yeah.
And so we only had a couple of days. When we looked them up, they were €400 or thereabouts.
So we kept looking at the flights, and it turns out then that if we waited for 3 or 4 days, we could get the flights for was €153 each,
Yeah.
as opposed to €400 each.
Yep.
So we decided the waiting time we needed for the bikes to arrive in Baku, we decided to spend that in Tbilisi and then get the cheaper flight into Baku, which is what we did. Once we arrived off the plane in Baku, we got the local bus, which I think was €2 for the two of us, into the town, and it leaves you a little bit out from everything. So when we left there, we were walking in and we spotted the electric scooters. So we jumped on the electric scooters and we scooted all the way into the town and up to the hotel, and then
we don't have a video of that.
We don't,
unfortunately. The two of us are trying to ride these things, and you do need 2 hands, otherwise you fall off. So neither of us were videoing.
Yeah, we don't want to kill ourselves just yet.
Yeah, it was only the start of it. Really.
It was, yeah. Yeah. So then it was a waiting game, and Damien still kept checking the tracker, and it wasn't moving, and it wasn't moving, and it wasn't moving. Eventually, anyway, we moved to a different hotel. It was a bit cheaper, and eventually we got a phone call from the fixer in Baku, and he goes, "You have bike Suzuki?" And I went, "Yes." And he goes, "You come now." Oh, okay. So we went down and we tried to get a taxi. Two failed attempts of getting a taxi. The third one arrived, and we hot footed it out to the customs depot, I suppose you call it.
Yeah, just outside the city. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a bit of problems getting past the security there because of the lack of language and stuff. But once we got in, then we met the fixer, and he was brilliant. He knew exactly what to do and where to go. He brought us to all the different windows. So 3 different windows we had to go to get things stamped and signed, and then we had to buy insurance to ride the bikes in Azerbaijan, and he brought us to the place to get that as well. So
We didn't know we were going to use a fixer.
yeah,
We got a phone call from a fixer who said, He didn't actually say I'm your fixer. He said, "You deal with me." So we knew it wasn't the driver. We knew it wasn't the company we left the bikes with. It was the dude, this fixer dude. And in fairness, we couldn't have done without him.
we couldn't have done without him. Now it worked out at €100 each for the fixer,
Yeah.
but we would have been still there, you know. Then we had to pay a release fee. I don't know if it was a release fee to Azerbaijan. It was €25 per bike, and then there was customs was €30. Or no, sorry, the insurance was it? Yeah, the insurance was €25, and the customs was €30.
That's basic insurance. It doesn't cover the bike, doesn't cover us.
It covered us for 5 days.
The basic cover. If we hit someone or we're involved, whatever,
It's
they're
compulsory. It's compulsory over there to have insurance anyway.
covered.
So,
Yeah.
so once we got the bikes, then we went back to the hotel, and then on the inspection, the chain on my bike was very stretched, not very much adjustment left on it, and I thought, well, okay, I need a chain and sprocket. So we decided to find a bike shop. And while I was at it, then I said, well, if the back wheel's coming off to do chain and sprockets, I might as well get a couple of new tires as well. That'll see me right the way through the stands. So we left it into this place, and they were supposed to have it done that night. And then they rang me to say that they couldn't do it, and blah, blah, blah. So there was no answer the next day. And so in the end, we went up to them, we took the bike back, and we went to a different place. And they actually did it all while we waited, basically. And they put a chain on and new tires. And it was, I think it was around about €250 for the whole lot, which was for nothing, you know. After that, then we headed for, we got the guy in the hotel to phone the port to see was there a ferry going, because we've been reading up about things, and they're saying all the different travellers are all saying, yeah, ring the port ahead so you'll know. So he rang, and he said he was told there was a ferry going at 10 o'clock. So I think it was 6:30 in the morning. Somebody was dancing around the room. Come on, let's go, let's go.
Yeah, we got up early to get down because the port is 60k away. So we didn't know what the traffic is going to be like. We didn't know what my bike is. There's an ongoing issue with it. We didn't know whether that was going to kick in. I had to get fuel on the way. So there's a lot of things you had to do on the way. I had to get breakfast on the way because it was too early. So we did all that on the way, and we got there in good time.
We arrived at the port at about 9:15. The ticket office opens at 9 o'clock, and the tickets for the ferry were €80 each.
For us to get a cabin, and then €100 each for the bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were directed into a compound. And this compound is after you go through passport control, right? So effectively you're
Port side,
yeah. I was going to say airside, but I didn't know.
I'd say
Port
airside.
side. Anyway,
We're getting the plane.
it's port on the left, isn't it? Anyway, So we're in this compound, right? And you're caged in, like the gates are closed, like and the huge big waiting area, loads and loads of seats in it, and then a few benches down the back of one of the other rooms. But there's no coffee machine. There's no sandwiches. There's
There's no nothing except access to French style
they had
toilets,
the Turkish toilets. I think
Turkish toilets.
the long drop, yeah,
Yep.
and they were minging. They were filthy. No toilet paper. Absolutely filthy, and the smell of urine. It was just, oh my god, it was vile, absolutely vile. And we ended up staying there for more than 36 hours.
Yeah, so you get the name of the ship you're going on, but you don't necessarily know when it's going. Even looking up on their websites, it doesn't. So there's no information anywhere.
Yeah.
So you're basically there until you're told you're going.
You're there in limbo, really, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Even food-wise, you have to ask to be allowed back through the system. In other words, to go to a truckers' cafe, which is quite basic, but it was something to eat. It was just great. Lucky enough, we had it.
Yeah, it's like a little trucker's canteen.
Yeah,
And it was actually quite good, wasn't it? It was all right,
yeah, it wasn't
But
expensive.
but the thing was, we didn't have any cash, so we had to keep going to the cash machine to get cash, and you didn't want to take out too much because you were leaving the country, and it was
A lot of the truckers, we noticed a lot of the truckers are actually cooking their own food.
a lot of truckers were cooking their own food from the trucks, yeah.
Yeah,
But
down behind where you see all the wheels of the trucks.
yeah.
So there's a front set of wheels and a back set of wheels, and there's a gap between. And they built this built-in area that they open up locker, and all their cooking stuff is in there. So we were walking up and down watching these guys sitting outside their truck at the wheels, kind of cooking away. But there was the cafe, and lucky enough there was because we had, we went.
The night before we were due to sail, we were waiting, and you were constantly there in case of readiness. In case they said, right, go, go. So anyway, we went to us at 2 o'clock in the morning. You must go, what did he say? You must go customs. So we were going, okay, so we had to get on the bikes with all our luggage, and we had to ride up to customs. But it wasn't just customs, they wanted us to go and pay a parking charge as well. So we paid a parking charge, I think it was €20 each for parking the bikes there. And then we went in to see the customs at 2 o'clock in the morning. They took our details, had a look at them, handed them back and said, finished.
I think what they're at was checking that there was no outstanding speeding fine or whatever else. There was nothing. I think that's what it was. But at 2 a.m. to wake us up.
And then we had to make our way back down to the lockup. So we were locked in again.
Yeah, we're there for the night. Slept. There was four people, only four of us actually at that stage.
So we slept there that night, and then what time was it when we eventually got on the ferry? It was 7 o'clock in the evening, wasn't it?
So more people started to arrive in during the day. We guessed something's happening, but again, no information, no idea. And so it was later in the evening, maybe 10 or 11 o'clock. They actually allowed us to board the ferry.
But even the information, like the lack of information was terrible, but there wasn't even anyone we could ask because the customs guys, they didn't know. And there was no one from the actual ferry company to tell us, But anyway, yeah, they eventually let us board. So we went down and we went through customs. And then they told us that we had to get our bags x-rayed. So we went down and there was a big x-ray machine there that x-rays all the trucks and that. And we stopped there and we asked a couple of drivers there and they didn't know. They said, they stay here. But then the guy who was operating the x-ray machine came back to us. And we said, get the bags x-rayed. And he just said, go, go. And he's pointing off down this, go. So we went, okay. So we started with the bikes and we headed for the port. There was another building down further that had duty free, and we stopped there and it was all in darkness and there was no one around, it was completely empty. So we got back on the bikes and we headed for the ship. When we came to the ship, this guy said to us, did you get your bags x-rayed? And we went, yeah, we stopped at the x-ray machine and the man said, go. So we went and we got on the ship up to our cabin. On the way in, of course, you go up to the reception on the boat and they just give you the sheets. There you go, you have to go and make your own bed. We're in the cabin, 4-berth cabin, and we kind of settled in, got changed, showers, the usual. And then this fella knocks on the door. You have to take all your luggage and take your moto and go back to get your bags straight. So we had to freaking take the bikes and all the luggage with the dress and all the gear, and drive back off the freaking boat up to get the bags x-rayed. And it was a case of just putting it through an x-ray machine and then walking away. It was ridiculous. And like riding the bike onto the ferry, you'll probably see in one of the other videos that Damien took of the train tracks on the ferry, you know, just horrendous. Like. And we had to do that twice, and it was dark. Yeah.
So the train tracks on the ferry, yeah, we've never seen it before, ever. Any ferries we ever get out of Ireland or Europe even are standard roll on, roll off. So you drive on, you drive off. In this case, these ones are built to have a train actually drive kind of on the rails straight into the boats and then back off the other side. So we've never seen it. But for a motorbike, it's a disaster because these things are maybe 3-4 inches high, and then there's a kind of a rotor on each side, 3 or 4 inches deep. And if you get the wheel caught on any of that stuff, and they weren't all just straight. Some of them where you're seeing kind of train tracks come together like that. That's where the disaster could happen, you know. So it was pretty tough in and out.
It was, yeah. And once we got the bikes locked down again and strapped down, and we went back up to the same cabin again, we were set. Again, the cabin, all you got was your sheets. You had to make your own bed. There was no toilet paper.
Yeah, again, no toilet paper.
And you're there going, what the hell? And of course, Damien had a little bit of toilet paper that we'd snuffled from the hotel, and we were like, what the heck are we going to do? That was quickly running out. So
that's because you were the spuds.
I'm not supposed to tell him that.
Neil had a little bit of an issue.
There was a slight issue.
Using a little bit of.
But it was sorted.
Yep.
Little bluey Imodium tablet, bang, sorted. But anyway, what you call it? Then we had a visitor in the middle of the night, didn't we?
Well, a couple of hours later, we were well settled and we were going to watch a movie because we had downloaded some movies to watch on the ferry. We knew all, we were prepared. And then Freddy the Frog arrived.
Freddy the Frog? I thought he was Francois the Frog.
No, Freddy was better. We loved like Freddy.
French lad, and I'm not joking, he was a whip. Like, good windy day now and he'd blow away. Like, he decided, he came in and he slept on the bunk above Damien. And like he just went unconscious and rolled up in a ball. Anyway,
so did we. Really.
I think we frightened the shite out because he left the next morning.
Well, we started playing some music, really, didn't we? Yeah, we started playing a bit of Pink Floyd and at a reasonable level.
He left the next morning and didn't go back.
We never saw him again. Well, we only saw him.
We saw him walking around strangely.
Yeah.
Around the ferry.
Yeah.
But anyway, on the ferry, meals were at a certain time. Like breakfast was 7:30 till 8:30. Lunch was 11:30 till 12:30. Tea, as they called it, was 7:30 till 8:30 in the evening, and that was it. And you had no choice of what you were going to eat. It was just slopped up to you, and it was usually a huge big pot with a big ladle, and they just push it out and onto your bowl like gruel. Here you go, you know. So the food was pretty gack. It really was awful. Actually, there was one.
I think we started to enjoy it a little bit after day 3.
I just think that's because we were so fucking hungry.
By day 3, we were just.
No, we were supposed to be on the ferry.
We were second in there.
2 nights, and we were 3 nights, almost 4 on the ferry. Like, we didn't get off the ferry till 6, 7 o'clock the evening, the evening of the 4th day. It got to the point where
there was no alcohol either. No bar.
No
bar. No bar.
Shop.
No shop.
It was a very small ferry. Like you could walk around it in about 3 minutes. Like it wasn't anything like the Irish ferries or the big ones now that go between Ireland and France and that, you know.
There was, however, a helicopter pad.
It was a helicopter pad.
And we vied with the idea of Yandex, which is a system
with the idea
of where you could actually order a taxi. In some of the other countries we were in, Yandex, very, very popular, very cheap. And they also, you can order a helicopter. Yeah. So we toyed with the idea of ordering a helicopter to bring some gargle.
But then we don't signal.
And then we lost signal, so that didn't happen.
So, no Wi-Fi either. Yeah. So, you're on this ferry with all the truckers. Now there was women. We did see women getting on the ferry, but they were segregated. The men were all on one level, and the women were somewhere else. We didn't see them.
Well, I'd say not all men were on one level now, in fairness. Some of them were
Any of the
shook.
married men, I'd say, were.
Some of them were a bit shook, and other ones were, I don't know, first timers. And then there was us. And
They got a bit shook when we started having a session,
yes, we
an
had a session.
alcohol-free session.
Yeah, started alcohol free
Yeah.
until the young German lads, we have to say the journeymen,
young
fair play
German
to the lads.
journeymen. How you doing, lads?
When we started to play some Irish music via our little portable speaker job, which we had purchased in back in Tbilisi, turned out to be a godsend. It was great. Started to play some Irish music in the only communal room there was, and several of the truck drivers from Azerbaijan and also from Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan were hanging around, and they're used to it. They do that, so they weren't used to the Irish music getting cracked up
And
or
two,
cranked up,
and
should I
two
say,
Irish bikers trying to sing it.
singing away with it. And the four Germans, and God bless them, one of them spent a lot of his time in Ireland as a young guy, was well able to sing along with us too. Yeah, sang along with us too.
I even got my flute out.
Yeah, it's not often Neil gets his flute out without being pushed to do it. But and then the Germans, in fairness to them, produced a little bit of gargle between them.
They gave us the little small cans.
We got a couple of cans. Well, they're not that small. They're not that small. Yeah, yeah. What do we look?
6 inches. You know.
So we hadn't had gargle for days, days.
So, yeah, so it got to a stage where, you know, things were getting desperate. No toilet roll. So we started. At each meal, there was a fella there slopping up the food, and there was a few serviettes. And they'd hand you one serviette, but we'd kind of reach in and grab 5 or 6 or 10 or 12. And we started stockpiling serviettes.
And tea bags. And tea bags. Not for toilet roll.
And tea bags.
For tea.
Because the tea bags were going missing.
Yep.
And so were the little paper cups. You could get tea and biscuits at certain times during the day. But the tea bags and the cups were rare as hell's teeth. So we started stockpiling them. And we got out stocking them by the end, didn't we?
So it was around the time of the Irish music, Cayley dancing afternoon that we had, that Neil found a friend. One of the truck drivers had a very small amount of English, but was very impressed and loved the Irish music, and sat beside Neil on the other side there and began to show him things. Photographs.
Yeah.
He went through photographs of his family, his rabbits, I think.
His son.
Lots of different things. And then in the middle of nowhere, he showed a picture of somebody who looked very like him with a flag behind. And I asked him, I said, "What flag is that?" He said, "It's Afghanistan. It's Taliban."
Yeah, this guy was Taliban.
So Neil's little friend befriended him. The little Taliban man, we call him, was befriended. Is that right?
Yep. Taliban.
Yeah, little Taliban dude. Yep. So he only short of invited us to meet the Taliban.
You could say we met the Taliban now.
Well, you did. Yep.
Anyway, after 3 nights on the ferry, a few of us were sitting in the common area, and you were down the back somewhere. I was in the common area, and with one of the German lads. And next minute we hear this noise, terrible noise, and he turns around to me, and I looked at him, and he goes, "Is that the anchor coming up?" And then I looked around, and all the drivers that were sitting in that same common area all went, "Hey!" We were getting out of prison.
Well, just before that, we had got so engrossed with the idea of kind of being stuck on board, having been stuck in the compound for days, now stuck on the ferry, that we were, I suppose we were reduced to a bit of dealing, wheeling and dealing, I suppose is probably the way to put it. Bartering. Yeah. We through the young German dudes, were currently negotiating um, for us to get some kind of gargle from the drivers. And the Germans were going to be the kind of
We believe it was homemade liquor.
middle, yeah, oh, some kind of homemade Georgian stuff.
Yeah,
But you know what? It sounded great.
It-
We never got our hands on it because,
We didn't.
as Neil said, the noise came and it was actually engines.
Yeah.
So
So we were all excited. Everybody was excited and all that. So anyway, the boat docked, and we went down. We got on the bikes, but the trucks they all have to reverse off the ship. So it was a bit of a nightmare then trying to reverse off the ship, and then us trying to stay between the rails going off, which we did okay.
yeah, so we were between some of the trucks. So a couple of trucks were reversing. We were getting out as quick as we could, so we had to wait for some of them. In the meantime, the trucks behind us were now reversing towards us, and it was dark, and nobody were wearing bibs, and it was downright dangerous.
You were thinking they're not going to see me because you can't see the driver.
Yeah,
So anyway, we rode the bikes then up to the first checkpoint, and they had a look at the bike ownership documents and the passport, and then we had to go to a little window there. So we parked the bikes, we went round to the window. There was a load of drivers there, and they actually all stood back and called us in so we could get served first, which is really cool. Then we got that done. Then we had to ride on further up to the customs building, and we went into the customs building. But the customs building was closed under some quarantine or something, so they seem to have taken over the main terminal. So we went in there, and of course we met this. You go straight over to the information desk, and then we went over to the information desk, and he said to this guy, "Excuse me, do you speak English?" And he went, and he goes, "Customs, customs." Now in any fucking language, customs means customs. And he goes, "Customs, customs," and your man goes, the grumpiest so-and-so I've ever come across. And we're walking around this building, and there's loads of people there, and we asked several of them, and they all went, you know, and and all they had to do was just point and say, "It's over there, there." No, but they were so ignorant. Eventually, we found one customs guy in uniform, and he told us to take a seat at another desk. That the lad would be along shortly, and the young man arrived shortly then, didn't he? The young customs man.
Oh yeah.
Turns out that this customs man was the same age as us, but he looked as if he was in his 80s, didn't he?
You thought he was 80.
I thought he was in his 80s.
I would have put it late 70s maybe myself, but
Well, late 70s is fucking good enough to be 80.
anyway, apparently oh yeah. So one of the younger guys said, "Oh, he just said to tell you he's 62." I go, "But that's our age." So yeah, he's our age.
By the way, the beer's horrible.
Was it?
It's dead.
Okay.
So anyway, we did the customs, and then he said, "Finished," and he goes, "Finish. You go reception." So I went back up to the information desk, which is the only reception desk available, and I asked, "Here," and the same guy went, and I'm there going, "What the hell?" So there was a couple of drivers, and we talked to the drivers, and the drivers were going, "You pay, you pay." They were pointing, there was a bank, right? So I went, "Okay, but how do I know how much to pay?" So I went back to the reception, I got hold of a different lad, and he went, "Yeah, here," and he sorted it out, and he put it into the computer and all that, and then he gave it back to me, and he said I had to pay, and I can't remember how much it was, can you?
No. Did we write it down?
No. But it was a customs charge, basically, to get out of the port. Right? It was a port fee.
Oh, it was about €40.
Yeah, about €40.
Yeah,
So then I went into the bank. Of course, there was nobody behind the counter in the bank, and all the drivers, the truck drivers, were all queuing up to wait to pay. Some of them were getting a bit antsy and fed up.
Yeah, look, this was 1 o'clock in the morning probably at this stage.
Yeah, so eventually this guy arrives, and we paid, and that was grand. So that meant we were free to go. So we headed out of the port and got up to the main gate, and of course we got stopped again, and then this is the issue I have because every time I get stopped, they insist I turn off the engine. So I turn off the engine, and then they go, "Okay, you go." It means I have to go through the whole process of kickstarting the engine again to ride up another 100 yards to turn off the bloody engine again. So going through the port, I could end up having to kickstart it like 4 or 5 times.
It's hilarious sometimes.
It's not hilarious. I mean, I'm good at starting the bike, but bloody hell. You know? Anyway, they eventually let us through the gate, and we headed up the road, and it was pitch black. Absolute pitch black. Your bike was acting up a little bit, wasn't
Yeah, it just chose that time to decide that it's
it?
one of the little
CDI
CDI was going to
was fancy, yeah.
go asleep or something. So yeah, we had to stop two or
So
three times to get that sorted.
we eventually made it up the road into Actown. We went to the building where we were supposed to be staying. And of course, Damien was trying to ring them, and they weren't answering any phones. So that was it. We weren't getting in there that night. So I went on bookings.com and I picked a hotel that I had previously been looking at. It's called the Three Dolphins in Actow, and I just booked it there and then. It was 1 o'clock in the morning.
It was 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock in the morning. I booked it, and then we rode straight there, and they took us in, checked us in, and all that. It was a lovely room,
And we're still here 3 days later.
and it was so good. We're still here 3 days later.
We're still
yeah.
here.
It's a really lovely spot, and it's like 24 euros a night for the two of us,
Including breakfast.
including breakfast. Forgot that bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're up to speed. That is how we got our bikes from Georgia through Azerbaijan into Kazakhstan. So we've done half an hour of this video now. I think we can end it here.
Yeah. Let's
So
turn it off quick for fuck's sake.
cheers.
Ooh.